Hey everybody, I just wanted to shoot a quick video on the Weiss field watch. There isn't a whole lot of videos on YouTube about it, so I just wanted to put something up for reference so you can know if you're thinking about getting one of these or if um, you just want to know a little bit about the brand or what they're doing. So this is the Weiss field watch, the 42 millimeter version, the black dial. This is the regular field watch. So they don't make this exact model anymore. Now they make the American issue field watch, which is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, identical to this one, the same size case. They have this one they have the black dial in the American issue field watch. The biggest difference is going to be the movement. So this movement in here is a Swiss-made movement that Cameron Weiss just assembled himself at their location in California. But all the components are Swiss. I believe he did some hand finishing on this. The hand finishing, that Côte de Genève on there. Obviously, there's the signed Weiss logo there at the bottom. And he may have blued the screws on this one. I'm not sure. I don't know too much detail exactly what went into this. But as you can see, there's a beautiful case back here, the sapphire crystal case back. It really shows off that movement that completely fills this case, which I thought was a really cool point. You can see there, it says Swiss on the movement and 17 jewels. This case size here is 42 millimeters. First thing you'll notice right off the bat, right there, that reflection. There's no AR coating on this double dome sapphire, which is a little bit disappointing. I was outside today with it, just in direct sunlight, and you're getting so much glare. There's almost not a time where you don't have a reflection on that sapphire, which it's beautiful and I love it, but I would really like to see some AR coating on that in the future. Going to the side of the case here, you can see the polished top portion. I'm going to call that the bezel. A polished top bezel, brushed middle of the case, and then you've got this polished metal ring that goes around the case back. On the dial, you see small seconds hand, seconds track at the 9 o'clock, numerals around the edge. The numerals are not loomed. The only thing loomed on this dial are the hands, the white portion of the arrow hands. That's the only part that's loomed. And then there at the 6 o'clock you see Los Angeles. Okay, so I've just adjusted the hands so you can see that Los Angeles, California. There at the 6 o'clock. I think that's pretty neat. It's a push-pull crown, signed crown with the Weiss arrows, I guess. I don't really know what that stands for, but I quite like how that fits right in there in the middle of Weiss. It looks pretty good. The watch that you would get would come on a strap very similar to this one. This is a Cordura strap. This one is from Hadley Roma that I bought online. This is not the Weiss branded one that you would get with the watch. They've got a nice one that's, I believe it's got a black inner lining here with Weiss on it, and then a signed buckle on theirs that will have Weiss when you buy that. But the new models that they have out now, I think they're around $18.50. That's the cost. But the movement, the big difference is going to be the movement is a hand-built movement by Cameron Weiss. I believe he makes many of the components in-house for that movement. I'm sure he doesn't make the mainspring himself. I'm not sure if he can even source that from the U.S., but he's trying to, with every iteration, every model, to move it towards more of an American-made watch. And I believe that the one he's selling now is considered American-made. It is the main bulk of the parts are made here in America, which I think is really, really cool. You can pick this model up new at a couple of locations. I believe Mr. Porter online might have a few more that are new, but there are a few models on eBay or online that you can find and this one will be quite a bit cheaper than the American issue that he's got out now. It's about twice the price, I think. This one, I think new, ran around $950, and the new ones, the American issue field watch, is around $850. But it's a really neat watch. I'll tell you, when I first picked it out, I was thinking, okay, 42 millimeter case. I think it's about 12 thick. I'm not quite sure about that, but I was thinking, okay, well, I've got an SKX here. It'll be similar to that. The biggest difference here, the case size is going to be the same, but I didn't realize how much of a difference it's going to make to have this bezel that takes up a lot of the case here on the SKX, but you get all dial here on the Weiss watch. There's hardly any bezel, so you get almost 42 millimeters of dial, which is pretty cool. It's really different to see it on your wrist. I'll throw it on the wrist here in a second. Obviously, I think the SKX is probably a millimeter or two thicker, but you can just see the difference in dial size here. Both 42 millimeter case, but the dials, having that bezel really makes a big difference. So this watch is hand winding. As you can tell, there's no rotor back there. This is a hand winding movement. I've had about 40 hours power reserve with each wind, which is not too bad. I like it. I've been wearing this quite a lot, so I just wind it up once in the morning, and every morning I wear it, and it's been great for the last week. So I did notice, as you would notice with any other hand winding movement, as it gets towards the lower end of its power supply, this watch does run fast a few minutes a day. But it's very accurate. When you keep it wound, it's been performing really well. I'll throw it on the wrist here in a second and let you see what that looks like. Alright, so here's the watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. It wears very nicely. I was a little worried about having that flat sapphire case back, how it would fit on the wrist, but it is quite comfortable. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's got 20 millimeter lug width, so there's lots of straps that'll fit on here. And again, you can see my reflection there, but it is quite comfortable. It's a nice looking watch. You can certainly tell the time very easily, in my opinion. Those big hands and the big dial, it doesn't take long. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on this watch that I can mention. Sorry about the filming on this. I'm doing it just straight from my phone. I don't film videos very much, and obviously if I could cut down on that reflection I would, but I think it's good to represent what you would actually get if you were getting this watch. I've got the 38 millimeter standard issue field watch that they just came out with. I just ordered one, so I'm hoping it'll be in around early to mid-October. So when I get that, I will post another video with these two side by side so you can make a comparison. But I like most things about this watch. I'd really like to see an anti-reflective coating on that crystal. I know Cameron's trying to do everything in America, and I hope he can find someone to do that, but that is the only thing I think this watch could really need. That is going to make it so much more legible. It's going to take it a whole nother step up with that, because you've got a beautiful crystal there, and that's really great, but then it's just boom, everything. You can see everything behind me. So that is really my only criticism of this watch. It's beautiful. I love the story behind Cameron and his wife starting this company and building them out of Los Angeles. And I really want to support that, and I hope you do too. It's right now, I believe Cameron's assembling every single watch until he gets someone else. He is the one putting all these together, and he's hand assembling the movements. And especially on the new American issue, he's making a large amount of the components that go into that movement. So that's pretty neat. Anyways, let me know if you have any questions about this. I hope I tried to include everything that I could think of, but that's the Weiss field watch with the black dial. So check him out. You can also listen to him talk a little bit about this on the Watch and Listen podcast. He does that with Matt Fair every Wednesday on YouTube. And he'll throw in a little bit of his watch history in each one of those podcasts, and you can see some of his watches on the camera there. But anyways, really like this watch. Look for the video in a couple of months when I compare it to the 38 millimeter that they just came out with.